I woke up already knowing something was wrong. There was no transition between sleep and awareness, no grogginess, no half-remembered dream clinging to me as I surfaced. One moment there was nothing, and the next I was conscious, fully, sharply, unmistakably awake. The darkness was complete. At first I thought my eyes were closed. I remember trying to blink, forcing them wider, waiting for the faintest change in shade. Nothing happened. The blackness didn't shift. It didn't soften. It didn't reveal so much as a hint of shape or distance. That was when I tried to move. I could feel my body, but only just. My arms were pinned tightly against my sides, my legs straight and pressed together. The surface beneath me was solid, unyielding, and cold. There was no space to roll, no room to stretch. When I tried to inhale deeply, my chest met resistance almost immediately. Panic came fast then, sharp and electric. But I forced myself to stay still. I told myself there had to be an explanation. A medical one, a rational one. Maybe I was in a hospital bed. Maybe I'd been restrained for some reason I couldn't yet remember. Maybe this was anesthesia wearing off badly, some lingering paralysis that would fade if I stayed calm. I focused on my breathing, short, shallow breaths, slow in, slow out. The air smelled wrong. It wasn't sterile. It wasn't clean. There was an earthy weight to it, thick and damp, like wet soil after rain. Every breath carried a faint metallic tang, something old and stale that clung to the back of my throat. That was when I realized something else. I could feel pressure above me. Not just the closeness of a ceiling, but weight, as if whatever was above me wasn't just enclosing me, but pressing down. The space felt compressed, suffocating in a way that had nothing to do with my lungs. I tried to swallow. My throat worked, dry and tight, and the sound of it echoed strangely inside my head. Too loud, too close. There was no open air here to absorb it. I opened my mouth and spoke. Hello? My voice sounded wrong, muted, flattened. It didn't travel. It didn't come back to me as an echo. It was as if the sound was swallowed immediately, absorbed by whatever surrounded me. I tried again, louder this time. Is anyone there? The words came out shaky, but still controlled. I was trying not to panic yet. Panic would waste oxygen, I told myself. Panic would make everything worse. But deep down, something was already unraveling. I shifted my head slightly, testing the space. There was barely enough room to turn it. The surface near my cheek was rough, gritty, small particles pressed into my skin, sticking faintly with moisture. When I moved, something trickled, a soft, whispering slide of loose material settling around me. That was when the thought formed fully, clearly, and without mercy. I wasn't in a bed. I wasn't restrained. I was inside something. Enclosed, buried, contained in a space built exactly to the shape of a human body. My heart began to pound, hard enough that I could feel it in my throat. Each beat felt louder than the last, hammering in the silence, counting down something I didn't yet want to acknowledge. No, I whispered. No, no, no. I tried to force my arms upward. The effort sent a sharp jolt of pain through my shoulders. There was no give. Whatever held me was rigid, unforgiving. I couldn't tell where my body ended and the enclosure began. It was that tight. The air felt warmer now. Or maybe that was just me. I tried to think back, to remember how I'd gotten here. The last thing I could recall clearly was leaving work. It had been late. The parking lot lights were already on, casting long shadows across the asphalt. I remembered checking my phone, noticing the time, thinking about how tired I felt. After that, things blurred. A sound, maybe. Footsteps. A voice. I couldn't be sure. The realization settled slowly, like the dirt pressing in around me. Someone had done this. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a collapse or a mistake or some bizarre misunderstanding. This space wasn't random. It fit me too well. I became aware of my breathing again, faster now, shallow and uneven. Each inhale felt like it brought in less air than the last. My chest burned faintly, a warning I tried desperately to ignore. I needed to conserve oxygen. I needed to think. I stopped moving completely and closed my eyes, even though it made no difference. I listened. At first, there was nothing but my own body, the rush of blood in my ears, the faint creak of something settling above me with each small movement I made. Then, very faintly, I heard something else. A sound from far away. A dull thump, then another. They were irregular, spaced far apart, as if whatever was causing them wasn't close or wasn't in a hurry. I held my breath, straining to listen. The sound came again, slightly louder this time. Footsteps above me. Someone was walking on the surface overhead, their weight compressing the ground just enough for me to feel it, to hear it. Hope surged violently through me, hot and reckless. I opened my mouth and screamed. My scream tore out of me before I could stop it, raw, desperate, and hoarse. The sound slammed into the tight space and vanished. No echo, no bounce, just gone, as if the earth itself had swallowed it whole. I screamed again, forcing every bit of air I had left out of my lungs. "Help! I'm down here! Please!" The words dissolved into the dirt. My chest burned as I sucked in another breath, smaller than the last. I waited, heart racing, listening for any sign that I'd been heard. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, I couldn't tell if that was good or bad. I held my breath, straining to listen past the pounding in my ears. The silence stretched, thick and oppressive. My muscles trembled from the effort of staying still. Then, slowly, the footsteps resumed. But they weren't random anymore. They were deliberate. Each step landed directly above me, closer together than before. I could feel the pressure of them through the ground, subtle shifts in weight that made loose dirt trickle down the sides of my face. Relief surged through me so violently it made me dizzy. "They hear me," I whispered. "They hear me." I screamed again, my voice cracking. I begged. I shouted my name. I promised anything. I didn't care how I sounded anymore. The footsteps stopped directly overhead. Something scraped. Metal against stone. I froze. The sound was unmistakable now. Slow, careful movement, as if someone were kneeling, as if they were adjusting something heavy. Then came a new noise, a rhythmic thud. It took me a few seconds to understand what it was. Shoveling. Each impact sent vibrations through the ground, small but undeniable. The space around me seemed to tighten with every load dumped on top. Dirt sifted down in a fine, gritty rain, coating my lips, my eyelashes, filling my mouth with the taste of earth. "No," I whispered. "No, please, stop." I screamed again, but my voice was weaker now, breaking apart as panic consumed me fully. My heart hammered so hard, it felt like it might tear itself free. The shoveling didn't stop. It was methodical, patient. Whoever was above me wasn't rushed. They weren't panicked. They were finishing something. The weight increased. The pressure on my chest grew until each breath became a conscious effort. I tried to push upward again, my muscles screaming in protest, but there was nothing to push against. The space was collapsing inward, inch by inch. My thoughts began to fracture. I thought of sunlight, of open air, of how normal everything had felt just hours ago. The memory of the parking lot lights flickered through my mind, distant and unreal. I tried to focus on counting my breaths. 1, 2, 3. The numbers slipped away from me. The shoveling stopped. For a long moment, there was nothing. Then, faintly, I heard a voice, muffled, calm, close. "Stay still," it said. The words were clear enough to understand, even through the layers of earth. The tone wasn't angry. It wasn't rushed. It was reassuring. Terror, unlike anything I'd ever felt, washed over me. "You're almost there," the voice continued. "Just breathe." Almost where? I tried to scream again, but only a broken sound escaped my throat. My lungs burned violently now, every breath shallow and sharp. The air felt thinner, warmer, heavy with the scent of soil and rust. Something solid pressed down against my chest. A lid. I felt it settle into place with a final, dull thud. The darkness seemed to deepen somehow, as if that were even possible. The voice spoke one last time, closer now. "No one will hear you anymore." Footsteps moved away. The ground above me shifted one final time, then went still. I lay there, unable to move, unable to scream, unable to do anything but think. Time lost meaning. Minutes blurred into something shapeless and endless. My thoughts came apart in fragments. Memories, regrets, unfinished conversations looping endlessly in my mind. I tried to stay awake. I was terrified of what would happen if I didn't. My breathing slowed despite my efforts. Each inhale felt like it brought in almost nothing at all. My vision, already black, began to pulse faintly at the edges. The last thing I remember thinking wasn't fear. It was the certainty that whoever did this wanted me conscious. That was the point. And then there was nothing. Subscribe to Buried Awake for more stories that stay with you.